3, 2, 1. Hello everybody and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43 and tonight we are taking our very first look at the brand new Global XP legendary ship, the Russian Stalingrad. So with that being said, let's look at our commander. We are running Nikolai Kuznetsov. We have Nikolai von Essen as our inspiration, along with Philip Vian for increased incoming fire dispersion. We're using Beyond Range, Intuitive, Punch Through, and Fixated. And we're running Fully Packed as our inspiration, or our legendary perk. Alright, so let's look at the equipment. We're running Aiming Systems Mod 1, Propulsion Mod 2, Steering Gears Mod 3, and we are running Main Battery Mod 3. Okay? Let's look at the loadout. You can switch between using the radar or the Fly Swatter perk, or Defensive AA. Yeah, Defensive AA. But I'll be real honest, you don't need the Defensive AA. Keep the radar. Okay? The radar is very good, as in most of the Russians, but its short duration is 21 seconds, but it reaches out to 11.7 kilometers with ship detection. Okay? And with Fully Packed, you get 3 of them. Now, we are running all of the boosters, just because, basically. But the Epic Battle Booster is something you probably want to run on this ship, just because of the reload time of your consumables, maximum movement speed, and the range of your main guns. You don't really need the extra range on your main guns, but the extra movement speed comes in handy, especially with the propulsion mod. We are running the community contributor flag and the permanent camo that comes with the ship. Okay? Now, survivability. You get 65,000 hit points with this build, and you have a 25% torpedo damage reduction. Artillery, you have 305mm 61 caliber SM-31s that you have 9 of in a 3x3 configuration. Then you have, they reach out to 20.3 kilometers and reload in 17.6 seconds, which is pretty much exactly the same as Alaska, if I remember correctly. It's right there in that wheelhouse. 34.5 second, 180 degree turn time, also right in the wheelhouse of the Alaska. AP shell damage is actually better than the Alaskas at 9180. But here's the thing. It only shoots AP. So keep that in mind. For secondaries, you have 130mm 60 caliber BL-109As that you have 12 of that reach out to 5.2 kilometers, reload in just 4 seconds, and have maximum HE shell damage of 1800 with an 8% chance to set fire. AA defense is very good in this. 25mm 4M120s, you have 40 of those that do 84 damage per second and reach out to 3.1 kilometers. 45mm SM-20 ZIFs, you have 24 of those that do 124 damage per second and reach out to 3.5 kilometers. And then you have the 130mm 60 caliber BL-109As that are dual purpose secondaries. You have 12 of those that do 167 damage per second and fire out to 5.7 kilometers. Maneuverability. Maximum speed with this build is 36 knots. You could go faster than that if you want. I think the fastest I had was like 38, 39, something like that. But I've been experimenting with different builds to see which one I prefer the most, because I'll be honest, I'm not a big fan of this ship. The turning circle is the reason. Okay, the turning circle is awful. 1130 meters is like the same as the Grosse Kurfürst, to put that into perspective, on a cruiser. Now, I get it. This is a very large cruiser that's basically a battleship with very small battleship guns. But, still. Now, we did manage to get the rudder shift time down to 7.5 seconds. You can get that lower if you use both steering gear mods. But I preferred to use propulsion mod in the first one, because that helps you with changing your speed, which you're going to need when you're trying to dodge incoming rounds, because you can't turn them. Concealment. Bad. Really, really bad. It's basically as bad as an Iowa. Okay, it's 14.4 kilometers with this build. However, it's not that bad. to have that bad of concealment, because generally speaking, you're going to be at a range that you're going to be able to dodge incoming rounds from battleships relatively easy, at least until you can close the distance. So keep that in mind. 9 kilometers by air, 14.4 by sea, 2 is always guaranteed, and 11.7 kilometer smoke firing penalty. So look at our armor. I couldn't think of it for a second. All right, so right off the bat, you're going to notice that this has a 50 millimeter armor belt that goes all the way to the bow, meaning if a Yami decides to shoot at you from the front and they shoot at the waterline, any shells that hit that are just going to ricochet or shatter. They're not going to do anything. If they land high, that's still 32 millimeters and can be pinned pretty easily by a Yami. Okay, so if you're in a Yami and you're shooting at one of these things coming at you, aim high, you'll be able to go through it. If you shoot at the waterline, you're going to have a bad time. Okay? So let's get rid of all of this and show the other reason that I can't stand this ship. And for the same reason that I don't like the Worcester. It has a raised citadel, meaning any time that you over-angle, you will be citadeled and you will absolutely be nuked. Keep that in mind. Battleships, Alaskas, doesn't matter. If you over-angle, they will nuke you. And given the fact that you can't turn inside estuary, like if you were playing estuary, I'm pretty sure you couldn't turn this ship around. That's how bad the turning is on this thing. Okay? So keep that in mind. It's got a huge citadel, it sticks out way above the waterline, and if you over-angle, you will absolutely pay for it. Overview. Superior AP penetration, above average AP shell penetration. Sure shot, shells with a good ballistic trajectory, maintain velocity, making aiming easier. And flare for piercing, equipped with only armor-piercing shells. Stalingrad, one of the few heavy artillery ships developed after the end of World War II. She had a very high speed for her size, and her armament consisted of specially designed 305mm guns, unrivaled in terms of her maximum firing range and ballistics. Year of design was 1951. She was never built, but she was unrivaled, right? Anyway, this is literally a Russian Alaska, and I would prefer to be in the Alaska 9 times out of 10 compared to this thing. But I will showcase a very good match that I had in this that showcases this ship pretty freaking well in its strengths and its weakness. So, all right, let's go ahead and take a look at it. It's a good looking ship. Let's get that out of the way. I really do like the look of this ship. The camo is pretty sexy as well. I like the camo. But the drawbacks of this ship just far outweigh its bonus to me. Like, AP only means that you're a one-trick pony. And you're not even a very good trick. You've got to put some serious thought into your build in order to make your AP useful in most situations. So, with that being said, let's get to the gameplay. Alrighty, so we're going to be on Tears of the Desert. And we are in the Stalingrad. Now, let's just go over why I don't really care for this ship. And the reason being, I don't like not having the versatility that the Alaska has, being able to switch between high explosive and armor piercing. I also don't like not having sonar, which is one of the reasons I steer clear of the Italian cruisers, even though I like the Italian cruisers. But this thing is literally as detectable as an Iowa, basically. It has only armor piercing. It doesn't have very good shell arc, which is partly due to its increased velocity, I'm assuming, because they do fire relatively flat, and I do like that, especially up close and personal when you're getting ready to fight pretty much anything up close. This thing turns into an absolute behemoth, which we will showcase in this fight. But we're also going to showcase the biggest downside of this thing, which is that freaking raised citadel. If there was one less negative about this, I think it would be better, in my opinion. It's still not a bad ship. Let's not get that. It's not a bad ship, especially if you get Von Essen in there, Philip Vian, I think you could probably swap out with somebody, just due to the fact that I don't know that, 4.5% extra dispersion doesn't seem to be helping me in this ship, because I tend to be real close anyway. But we reach out and we smash the Alaska right off the bat, and we took basically nothing in return. The reload, like I said, is basically the exact same as the Alaskas, so keep that in mind. When you're in a fight with an Alaska, you have to be extremely careful, because the Alaska has American armor-piercing and fires super heavy American armor-piercing shells, which have improved penetration angles and will absolutely punish this thing broadside. And by broadside, I mean, even if you think that you've gotten yourself out of trouble, like you think you're angled relatively well, the Alaska's still going to punch you right in the citadel and probably send you back to port really quickly. So keep that in mind. This raised citadel is such a weakness for this ship. It's actually appalling. On an otherwise okay platform, I actually enjoy the guns. The guns are actually pretty good, especially with Von Essen on there for the improved penetration angles. Now, the carrier on this map is going to give me a Clear Skies medal because he's going to test my AA. And even without an AA-centric build, this thing shreds planes. Shreds them. It's not even close. Now, here you can see I'm waiting for a chance to shoot at the Bismarck. We got a good opportunity, and we're just going to sit here in a crossfire and absolutely farm these guys. This is where this ship absolutely shines. When you're not the center of attention and you've got beautiful broadside targets just absolutely begging to be touched, that's where this ship shines. And so that's why, as a flanking ship, and look at this drop from this guy. If I was this carrier player, I didn't even move, and he just straight up missed me due to the fact that the RNG was like, we're going to spread these out just a little bit. Wouldn't want you to hit him while he's sitting still, parked behind an island. But, yeah. We get another nice hit here on the Bismarck, and that takes him down to basically nothing. He's going to be pretty easy for everybody to finish off. Then we've got a beautiful shot at a Kansas out here that I am just absolutely salivating looking at. And so we take the shot. A little bit of a twitchy moment there, but we take the shot anyway, hoping these guys don't run into each other, and they don't. And the shells that miss also hit the Yami, so we end up with a really good salvo of 6 penetrations here. And like I said, Von Essen woke this ship up. The armor-piercing shells by themselves are not that great, but because I have Von Essen at a high level, I get that extra 3+ degrees of penetration angle, and that seems to wake this ship up. It really does. I'm not joking. So I highly recommend Von Essen on this ship if you're going to run it. Now, personally, is this ship worth 2 million global XP? If you're buying it with cash, probably not. If you are saving up for a long time and you just feel like you want another legendary, absolutely, I think you'll be fine. But to just go out and spend a whole bunch of doubloons converting your global, not really thinking that this is the ship for most people. And most people, let me get this straight, most people are not going to enjoy this ship. I'm just throwing that out there. Sweaty tryhards, probably going to enjoy this ship. I am kind of indifferent. I like it when I'm able to get into positions like in this game here, where I'm taking shots at people who are just sitting broadside the entire game, not really giving themselves up, a chance to fight me on good grounds. Now here, this showcases the velocity of these shells. That Alaska was clearly changing direction. I aim out ahead, and we actually hit so far ahead that we just overpin. Now, we trade our Georgia and our destroyer, which is a stupid trade. The destroyer should have easily been able to kill that Georgia without giving up his ship. Okay? The Georgia's in a gap that is tiny. If you can't torp a battleship under those conditions, you probably want to go to play cruisers or battleships. But we get another Citadel on the Alaska, taking him down to very low health. And this is where things start to go horribly wrong for me. I am going to ignore this Alaska in a moment. After he turns away, I don't have the versatility of having high explosive, okay? I just don't. And I see a very juicy battleship behind me to my right in a Vanguard who's going for our base. And so I end up making the decision to turn back towards the Vanguard. And that opens up my full broadside for this freaking Alaska to absolutely smash me. And smash me, he does. Wait for it. Didn't look like much, did it? Looks pretty good. And we dodged the torpedoes. I feel like I'm pretty safe here. I really do. I'm like, oh, we're good. We're good. No, you're not. You just lost all of your hit points in one salvo from an Alaska. That's what I'm talking about. You cannot give your broadside to anybody in this ship. Ever. And good on that Alaska for taking advantage of it. Now watch what we're about to do to this Vanguard. 2 citadels there, 4 penetrations, all of his health has suddenly disappeared. And we're just going to try to bow tank him here. Now, we've gotten ourselves away from the Alaska, so it's just the Vanguard, and unfortunately for this Vanguard, there's nothing he can do here. I beat his reload, and down he goes. Just absolutely nuke him. 3 citadels that time, 4 penetrations. That brings us up to 147,000 damage. Now, there's an Alaska over there that's... The planes have me spotted. You can see I'm trying to get somebody to get closer to me so that I could potentially get my heal back quicker. Because I could stay in the fight a little bit longer, but unfortunately the Alaska's going to get a couple penetrations, take me down to 3,000 hit points, and the one time I don't manage to shoot down all of his planes, he drops a bomb and gets the kill. Unfortunate. It would have been a fight had I not actually went broadside to that Alaska. Underestimating how long it takes this ship to turn, putting myself in a position to get touched by that Alaska was just a bad idea. Shouldn't have done it. I should have just kept bow tanking the Alaska, come around the backside of the Vanguard and tried to go that way. So I made a huge mistake in this one. Unfortunately, it cost our team the game because the rest of these guys, not preferable. Let's just put it that way. They somehow lost all their hit points and they ain't even been in a fight with anything. I don't know how they do it. I honestly don't know how they do it. But it is what it is. And this Vanguard is pretty much all that's left at this point. We got a battleship back in the back fighting everybody that's coming around from the other base. But again, like I said, had I not turned broadside in front of that Alaska thinking he was just content to kite away and break contact, I probably would have been able to carry this because I don't know how bad a shape the other guys are in, but I'm pretty confident in this thing one-on-one. Now, there is a Yamiya that I didn't notice, so maybe not. But still, versus Alaskas, it's a very, very interesting fight because the Alaskas improved penetration angles, I'm not joking, absolutely wreck this thing every time it tries to use the rear gun. The rear gun has an absolutely ridiculously bad firing angle. And I don't know if there's something wrong with, I know back in the day, if you guys remember, the Nuremberg back in the day actually had something wrong with one of its turrets, where it would show that there was a, you would have a shot. It would say that you have a shot, like it's where it's supposed to be, but it's not actually where it's supposed to be. So you can't actually fire, resulting in a delay before you finally get that rear gun to shoot. And that's kind of what the Stalingrad rear turret feels like to me right now. Because it'll say that it's there, but you'll pull the trigger and nothing will happen, and then finally the rear gun will go off, like it's just showing that it's available to be used a couple of degrees before it actually is. But unfortunately, this Vanguard he's got a beautiful shot at this Alaska, right? Alaska's 12 kilometers away, once again given a broadside, just begging for it. And the Vanguard turns full broadside to get a full shot off at him, and unfortunately manages to do 0 damage to the Alaska and then get finished off by the Kansas. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this first look. Again, I probably wouldn't want people to I don't think a lot of people are going to enjoy this ship, but for those that do, I think you're going to enjoy the ship. Does that make sense? Like, I think the majority of players probably not going to enjoy the ship. But for those of us who enjoy like a armor-piercing heavy cruiser, we probably will. But again, that raised Citadel, it's just bad. So if you like what I'm doing, hit the like button. I just ruined my own outro. Let's try that again. If you like what I'm doing, punch the like button, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you in the next video.